Hello and welcome to a ZClassroom video on this slice curve brush. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how we can use the slice curve brush on two pieces of geometry. The first piece of geometry is the dog that we have here, which has a particular geometry flow, and then we'll be taking a look at how we can use it with a Dynamesh. So first let's select our slice curve brush. In order to do this, we're going to hold down our Control-Shift key. Now by default we have our select rectangle brush selected. So let's take a look at what this does for us. Obviously we use this to select out certain portions of our dog. So if I want to isolate my head of the dog, I hold down my Control-Shift key and drag out my box and I get my dog head. Now you notice that we are bounded by the geometry flow for our selection. So I'm going to turn on my polyframe mode, which is down here at the bottom right corner, which is the Poly F key, or by scrolling over you can see that my shortcut is Shift F. So I'm going to click that on so we can actually see our geometry and bring everything back for the dog by holding down Control-Shift and clicking in our document. So you can see there's a particular geometry flow to this dog. Well, with the new slice curve, our problems are solved with making selections. So I'm going to hold down my Control-Shift key, click on the select rectangle, and move over here to my slice curve. So now anytime that I'm holding my Control and Shift key, I'm getting my slice curve. So all I have to do is draw out a line, and you can see when I hold down the Control-Shift and click on the dog head, I get a nice clean cut here. So this is not limited to just any cut. I can even add a round cut, and I can keep continually slicing and making other selections on our dog. So now I can make really nice clean selection cuts for our dog. So we can also use not only the curve option for our slice curve, but we can even switch to our lasso. And by using our lasso, we can create some really complex selections, but get a very nice clean cut because of the slice curve brush. So let's set this back to our default settings and take a look at one other way we can use this on the dog. We can in fact use the slice curve brush to create new edge looping around our dog. So I'm going to take us out of perspective mode so I have a good symmetrical cut happening, and so that I'm looking straight on my dog or straight on the side of my dog. And by holding down our Control-Shift key, I can begin to draw out a line, and then tapping the Alt key will allow me to put a bend in my line so that I can add a complete new edge loop along these faces, and of course create a new poly group. So when I go hold down Control-Shift and select, I have a nice clean cut where there's new edge loop with a new poly group. Now in order to see the other half of my dog, I need to come down into my tool palette and go down on my display properties and click double. Now I'll be able to see the whole part of my dog. So again, let's do that one more time by holding down our Control-Shift key, starting to draw out our actual line, and right now I'm not holding the Control and Shift key at all, and now by just clicking the Alt key, I can create any kind of edge that I want, as you see here, and when I release I get a nice new edge loop and a new poly group to be used on the dog. So let's take a look at how we can use this particular slice curve brush with a Dynamesh. So you can see here we have a metal piece that is right now, if I turn on polyframe, is one piece. This is currently a Dynamesh with a resolution of 304 and the group button on. This group button is going to be key for what we're going to use the slice curve with. So right now I only have one poly group, but what I'm going to do is use the slice curve to actually create more poly groups so I can create this one metal piece into three. So I'm going to turn on my polyframe mode. I'm going to hold down my Control-Shift and just drag right across here. And you can see now we got a blue poly group and we still have our purple poly group. And in the back here, we're going to make a little bit different type of curve. So we're going to tap the Alt key so we can put a little bit of different curve there, and we're going to get a third poly group. So now when ZBrush is done, we've got three poly groups. We have a lighter blue, we have a darker blue, and we have the purple in the back. So what's going to be great about this, the fact that I have my group button on, when I hold down the Control and drag on my document, ZBrush is actually going to keep this as one subtool, but as you can see, we've actually made three separate pieces. To really see that, I'm going to switch to my move mode, and I'm going to hold down the Control key and just click on this first poly group. In ZBrush 4R2 now, when I do this, I automatically mask everything out but this poly group. So let's go ahead and move this out, and you can see that these are separate pieces. And in fact, when I move out the back piece, again by holding Control and just clicking on that, and I can draw out my action line now, and go to my move, you can see that I get a nice clean cut even with the Dynamesh being sliced up. And that's using the slice curve with a regular piece of geometry and a Dynamesh. Thank you for watching the video, and please continue to watch more on Pixologic.com.